ML Sports Take here from Rosie's Corner. I just walked in. It smells so good. It's a Fish Friday. Get the sides with it. French fries, mac and cheese, and coleslaw. And oh, by the way, pizza wing combinations today and all week. And, of course, we get back to your Meatloaf Monday, Turkey Slop Tuesday, Chicken and Biscuit Wednesday, your mac and cheese on Thursday and Friday. And, of course, again, Fish Friday every single week as well. And hey, we only have a little bit longer with the comfort foods as we're getting into the spring season, so make sure you hop in and try it if you haven't. Route 11 in Brewerton in front of the Brewerton Bridge. So the 2002-2003 Syracuse basketball team will be honored tomorrow at the Dome. It's been 20 years. I can't believe it. I'm sure you can't believe it. Hakeem Warwick and Jerry McNamara will have their jerseys retired up into the rafters. Carmelo Anthony and some others will be in town. And I just wanted to kind of hit on a few things with this. Number one, I think it is a clear indication of where we are today and where we were with Syracuse basketball. Syracuse basketball, elite program and all the rest, even through the mediocre seasons beyond that championship season, they figured it out in March, made a run, Sweet 16s, Elite 8s, Final Fours. You think about 2012-13, their last year in the Big East, they were a horrible offensive team, and then something clicked. Big East tournament, right? They beat Georgetown, they get in, they go to the Final Four. Carter Williams, CJ Fair, Brandon Trish. I love that team because I like Carter Williams and Trish up at the zone. Size, length, absolutely creating offense off of defense. The 2015-16 team, mediocre. They win the Bahamas tournament, beat Texas A&M and UConn, of course, and then they had a couple of bad losses, including St. John's. You know, they lost, I think, the last 5 games of the 5 out of 6 that year, I believe is what it was. But then they caught fire in the tournament. We'll all remember Michigan State getting upset by Middle Tennessee, and then Syracuse beat them. Then they got hot, came back and beat Virginia, of course. But before that, had beaten Gonzaga with that big block. I think Leiden had that. Malachi goes off against Virginia with the press. Syracuse went out of the zone. That was a special run as well. 2018, they surprised people with the Sweet 16. 2 years ago, they were in the Sweet 16, of course. But right now, things have gotten really bleak for Syracuse basketball, and they are far, far, far away from a championship season, from a Sweet 16 season, Elite 8, Final Four, whatever the case may be. So it's kind of a story of two sides here when you look at what once was and what is currently with this group. So it gives you a chance to think about that. And also, somewhere in the middle, please understand, as a Syracuse basketball fan, you have been probably pretty spoiled through the years. Celebrating Hakeem Warwick, his obvious moment, his unbelievable top video moment, of course, in the collection of them, is the big block against Kansas in the championship game on Michael Lee. Jerry McNamara raining 6 3-pointers in that game. Jerry, what a career at Syracuse. You could argue he has the most decorated career in Syracuse basketball history. And I know the names, trust me. I know the names. What Carmelo did in just 1 year, Pearl Washington, Billy Owens, Derek Coleman, on and on it goes. But, man, you could say that Jerry has the most decorated. When you think about the situation with winning the championship as a freshman, he started as a shooting guard. Then he had to get moved to point guard because Billy Edelin was kicked off the team. All those unbelievable Big East moments, carrying Syracuse to Big East tournament titles, the 3-pointers against Cincinnati and UConn and Georgetown, the ridiculous 3-point barrage he put on BYU in the tournament in 2004. Jerry McNamara is a class act. I've always loved talking to him. I love going up and saying hello to him at the Dome. Him and Hakeem Warwick being up in the rafters is completely and utterly deserved. They are two of the iconic players in SU basketball history. And hey, when you think about that 0-2-3 run, that was a remarkable year for a lot of reasons. Number one, Carmelo Anthony, you knew in that first game at Madison Square Garden that he was the real deal. In a losing cause, he obviously, the bright lights, the stage, Melo, he played there a bunch at, when he was at Oak Hill. But you knew right away Carmelo Anthony was a program changer. Remember, that year they also went undefeated at home. I was fresh out of college, fresh off of, ACL surgery and all the rest, fresh out of St. Bonaventure. It was my first full year in media. I was grinding, waking up at 3, 4 in the morning, producing shows, anchoring on Fridays for WSYR and WHEN and Clear Channel Radio. Got in with Perry Now to the golf show. It translated into Pinstripe Passion on Sundays. But my first look at things in the big time and all the rest, and this was before I got credentialed to every game for Syracuse, I had to go to games as a fan still, and I went to a few of them that year. I remember they were down against Rutgers late in the year. It might have been the last game of the year, actually, and the undefeated season at home was on the line. Carmelo, of course, went off. They win that game, and then in the tournament, of course, Syracuse, they played in Boston and then Albany. Now, you'd never see that today because of the size of the arenas. They want large, even larger, and then it's Banana Land. You play in a football stadium for the Final Four. But they started in Boston, a little bit of a home court advantage, only 4 hours away. Then Albany, 2 hours away. Remember, they beat 4 Big 12 teams on the way to the title that year. They opened up against Manhattan and Bobby Gonzalez, a very, very talented team with great great guards, I ran into Bobby Gonzalez not too long at the Dome, had a really nice conversation with him, introduced myself. He wanted to say hello to Dick Vitale, and I said, oh, man, I said, in Manhattan, I said, you had a really good team. I said, Louis Flores and you. I said, man, you guys should have, he goes, we should have beat Syracuse. I said, well, you had Carmelo on the other side. I said, you had a chance there, and we started laughing and giggling. I told him I went to St. Bonnie, loved the mid-major thing. He was a super nice guy. That was a tough game for Syracuse in the first round, but they got it done. Then you move on to the second game. Remember, Oklahoma State in that game had a double-digit lead. Carmelo said, get on up. I'm going to carry you. He goes nuts. They come back and win, beat Eddie Sutton in Oklahoma State. Then they move on to Albany. That was a key game there because Auburn, remember, had upset Wake Forest. Wake Forest was one of the best teams in that regional, the East Regional, and Wake Forest ends up losing. Auburn plays Syracuse. Syracuse is up 4 late in the game. Auburn makes a 3 at the buzzer. I think it was 79-78. Syracuse beat Auburn. My dad and I went to that game in Albany. We trucked back. I had to work, obviously, but while I was working, I watched Oklahoma and Syracuse on television. That was another Big 12 team that Syracuse beat with Hollis Price and company. They had a great bench, and Syracuse took care of business with a 2-3 zone. Oklahoma didn't know what hit them with that. It was a deer in headlights situation. Syracuse goes to New Orleans for the Final Four. Syracuse beats Texas in the regional semifinal, which is an amazing, amazing win for a lot of reasons. But Carmelo Anthony went in there probably with a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of extra of that, because TJ Ford for Texas won Player of the Year. Bullshit. The best player in college basketball was Carmelo Anthony that year, and they didn't want to give it to a freshman. They gave it to a senior in TJ Ford instead. They learned their lesson, I hope, because Carmelo dominated. 33 points, 14 rebounds. They go to the championship game. Jerry McNamara goes off. It's nip and tuck until the end. Kirk Heinrich, Nick Collison, Michael Lee on Kansas' side. We know about Syracuse, Jeremy McNeil, Craig Ford, Jerry McNamara, Billy Edel, and Hakeem Warwick, Carmelo Anthony. They get it done, and Syracuse wins the national championship. The block by Hakeem Warwick. Kansas inbounds it, and they get the shot off, and I got to tell you, that last shot made me nervous because I thought Syracuse maybe goaltended by grabbing that ball right in front of the rim, but it was a couple of feet in front. And then everybody piles onto center court, and Syracuse is your national champion, as Jim Nantz said on CBS, and, of course, Mark Johnson going crazy on the radio broadcast. What a year it was for Syracuse basketball. 20-year anniversary. Mind-boggling it's been that long. But remember what was, where we are now, and in between, the phenomenon that is Syracuse basketball. A lot of it has to do with one Carmelo Anthony, of course, and the two guys going up into the rafters tomorrow at the Dome, Hakeem Warwick and Jerry McNamara. Very well deserved. Mike Lindsley here, ML Sports Take, Rosie's Corner, pizza, wings, baked ziti, lasagna, and your fish Friday today. Get in here, try the garlic parm wings, try the tomato cucumber salad, and of course, there's specials each and every week with the salads and the comfort food. It's here at Rosie's Corner, a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and as I always tell you, enjoy the games.